Chapter 3. Now Jehoram the son of Ahab began to reign over Israel in Samaria the 18th year of Jehoshaphat king of Judah, and reigned 12 years. And he wrought evil in the sight of the Lord, but not like his father and like his mother. For he put away the image of Baal that his father had made. Nevertheless he cleaved unto the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. And Mesha, king of Moab, was a sheepmaster, and rendered unto the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with the wool. But it came to pass when Ahab was dead, that the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. And King Jehoram went out of Samaria at the same time, and numbered all Israel. And he went and sent to Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, saying, The king of Moab hath rebelled against me. Wilt thou go with me against Moab to battle? And he said, I will go up. I am as thou art, my people as thy people, and my horses as thy horses. And he said, Which way shall we go? And he answered, The way through the wilderness of Edom. So the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom, and they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey, and there was no water for the host and for the cattle that followed them. And the king of Israel said, Alas, that the Lord hath called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. But Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord, that we may inquire of the Lord by him? And one of the king of Israel's servants answered and said, Here is Elisha, the son of Shaphat, which poured water on the hands of Elijah. And Jehoshaphat said, The word of the Lord is with him. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. And Elisha said unto the king of Israel, What have I to do with thee? Get thee to the prophets of thy father, and to the prophets of thy mother. And king of Israel said unto him, Nay, for the Lord hath called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, surely were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, I would not look toward thee, nor see thee. But now bring me a minstrel. And it came to pass that when the minstrel played, that the hand of the Lord came upon him. And he said, Thus saith the Lord, Make this valley full of ditches. For thus saith the Lord, Ye shall not see the wind, neither shall ye see rain. Yet that valley shall be filled with water, that ye may drink, both ye and your cattle and your beasts. But this is but a light thing in the sight of the Lord. He will deliver the Moabites also into your hands. And ye shall smite every fenced city and every choice city, and shall fell every good tree, and stop all wells of water, and mar every good piece of land with stones. And it came to pass in the morning, when the meat offering was offered, that behold, there came water by the way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. And when all the Moabites heard that the kings were come up to fight against them, they gathered all that were able to put on armor, and upward, and stood in the border. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water. And the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. And they said, This is blood. The kings are surely slain, and they have smitten one another. Now therefore Moab to the spoil. And when they came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and smote the Moabites, so that they fled before them. But they went forward, smiting the Moabites even in their country. And they beat down the cities, and on every good piece of land cast every man his stone, and filled it. And they stopped all the wells of water, and felled all the good trees. Only in Kir Hareseth left they the stones thereof. Howbeit the slingers went about it, and smote it. And when the king of Moab saw that the battle was too sore for him, he took with him 700 men that drew swords, to break through even unto the king of Edom, but they could not. Then he took his eldest son that should have reigned in his stead, and offered him for a burnt offering upon the wall. And there was great indignation against Israel, and they departed from him, and returned to their own land. Here in chapter 3, we see that Jehoram, who is the son of Ahab, isn't quite as unrighteous as his father was, or as his mother was. Now, there was still lots of perversion in the worship, because Jezebel, who was Jehoram's mother, was alive throughout all of his reign, and she was doing her best to keep the gross religion that she participated in alive and active. But the son wasn't quite as bad as the mother or the father had been. But we see here that there is an alliance formed between Jehoshaphat, who is the king of Judah, and Jehoram, who is the king of the northern 10 tribes called Israel, to attack Moab. And the reason they were attacking Moab was when Ahab died, Jehoram's father Ahab died, Mesha, who was the king of the man in charge of Moab, rebelled against Israel, who had control over them. And they just tell you his annual tribute was 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with the wool. And that was what he was going to pay, and he basically didn't want to do that, and so they rebelled. And as well, not only did he rebel against Israel, but the area of Moab had been conquered by David, and so Judah had some control of some of that territory. And so when the rebellion, Jehoshaphat and Judah would have lost some of the territory to Mesha, and they didn't like that. So the two of them, Jehoshaphat and Jehoram, were going to attack Mesha and take it back. That was what the original plan was. And so they show up, both of them, to Elisha to find out what he says. And Elisha is upset that with the presence of Jehoram, because basically he tells Jehoram, go talk to your father's prophets. You want to find out. Don't bother coming talking to me. And they get a harp for him to play to soothe his jangled nerves, and he basically tells them some stuff they don't really want to hear, but he tells them what they have to do. He tells them if they're going to win, they have to, number one, cut down all the trees that are going to be used for fortifications. Number two, they have to destroy the wells. Number three, they have to throw rocks on the fields. As the armies are walking by the fields, they need to throw rocks on the fields, because it doesn't take that long for a large number of men in an army to throw a whole bunch of rocks in the field, but it takes a long time to get those rocks out so you can plow. It's interesting that they were not willing to follow Elisha's advice, but they did want his blessing on it. We dismiss you as being irrelevant, but would you please bless us as we go, sort of thing. Now, as they're set up for battles, you need to understand these are set-piece battles. Okay, so you have groups of people set up in various geographical layouts, so like pieces on a chessboard or a checkerboard, and you move certain pieces back and forth. This was how it was done. And they set up in a place, and they dug trenches. The Judah and Israel dug trenches. And in the morning, when Moab got up, they looked over towards the camp of where Judah and Israel were camped, and what they saw where the water was they saw blood red color. They assumed it was blood, and then they made a judgment that in fact what had happened was there had been a battle between the army of Judah and the army of Israel, and that they killed off one another, massacred one another, and that the red was the blood that had flowed out of the camp. And so they, people of Moab, soldiers of Moab, headed over, just sort of moseyed on over to rob what they could out of the camp, only to get over there and find out that the enemy had not massacred one another, and they were fully ready for battle. And the Moabites lost badly. And their Moabite king retreated to a city that was held by the Edomites. He wanted to leave there where he had his son with him, his oldest son. He wanted to leave there with him, and the Edomites wouldn't let him go. And he was forced back in the city. And he offered his son, who's heir, he's going to be the young man who's going to be the king after him, as a burnt offering to Chemosh, their god. Horrible way to live. But that was the kind of thing they did. And that was the kind of thing why Heavenly Father said, we have to get rid of these people from off of this land. Stop this murder from happening.